Oh my God, everybody. I woke up today thinking, oh, we're just going to talk about, one or two key things for today. Just kind of keep you guys in the loop and aware of what's going on behind the scenes of everything. Because there is a lot going on, and a lot of stuff is going to get pushed around and forgotten about because of the other craziness around the world. Let's not lie. There is crap going on in the US, there's crap going on in Mexico, there's crap going on in the UK, there's crap going on in the Ukraine. The Ukraine's going to be something I think we're going to talk about by itself because, that whole thing's about as big of a mess, it seems, as the Mexican drug cartels right now, if you want my opinion about it. But the question is, where do we start? Where do we begin to dissect everything? Okay? Like, the first big thing that's going on right now is apparently Netflix backed out of the deal for the Warner Brothers and HBO Max buyout, which goes now to Paramount because Paramount offered some high, ridiculous, stupid freaking number that Netflix claims wasn't the right buy for them, but yet they were still having people in Washington or whatever yesterday or the day before trying to make a deal with Warner Brothers. It was going back and forth, but right now it seems like Paramount is the one that's going to be taking over Warner Brothers. Like it or not, there's enough that you can unpack just of that alone, but as we always say, we're trying to let the dust settle first on it before we get there, because something else could change in the next 24 hours. Okay? Remember what our rule is. You wait 24, 48 hours to let the dust settle, then you start looking at it, you get more right information then. Okay? Just like they're doing all this crap in New York politically, and it's becoming, as what did she say, a nothing burger. Okay, that's all it is. It's deflection. I don't remember. I don't recall. And it's going to be the same thing tomorrow or today when we go back and look at it tomorrow and Sunday and Monday and moving on and actually seeing what is given to the public. Okay, that's the kicker, is that stuff like that is going to get pushed aside. Huge things is going to get pushed aside that is vital information, is key things that we need to know. Okay? Like I said yesterday, like I've always said, we have fun here. We have a lot of fun here. We try to, between, making fun of the Kim Jong-un and the whole North Korea. He got elected again by the working party now. He's like, elect me or you die type scenario. It's just one of those types of things. But stuff like that's going to get pushed under the rug just because people are not talking about it. People don't want to talk about it, but it's vital information. So you have those things. Okay, so we really need to keep an eye on the Paramount goings on, because that's good information to keep an eye on, because that doesn't just affect, like HBO Max and the streaming side. That also affects, let me pull it up here for you guys. I know CNN is going to be a big talking point. Let me bring it up here. Where are we at? Here we go. Okay, Paramount is now expected to own the following assets and film rights. Okay, so with this potential merger, once it gets approved, Paramount's going to own TNT, CBS, CNN, what's left of MTV, which I don't think in the United States is very much. Turner Classic Movies, Showtime, Adult Swim, the DC Studios, Nickelodeon, HBO Max, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, and that's just the television station side. Okay? That's just the television side. Now, if you look at this, some of these I really didn't know how far it actually breaks down, and then you're like, oh, crap. Okay? So Paramount will also own the following film rights if this actually goes through all the way. And Netflix would have owned this too, but you don't sit there and really think about it until things actually start coming to fruition. It's like, oh crap, this is actually going to happen. So they're going to own Star Trek, Gremlins, Beetlejuice, DC Comics, Tom and Jerry, the Harry Potter series and the Harry Potter reboots, Citizen Kane, Transformers, the Quiet Place movies, Looney Tunes, Conjuring, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Dora the Explorer, the Mission Impossible series, the Lord of the Rings series, SpongeBob. SpongeBob is still on. Can you believe that? Any of you guys that grew up in the early 2000s remember when SpongeBob debuted? It is still going. He is an old sponge now. But Avatar, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the distribution rights to Dune 3, the distribution rights to Minecraft, and the Monsterverse. I got to do some research on that because I'm not exactly sure offhand what the Monsterverse is. DC, Universal, and all of them have been trying to do a reboot with some of the old classic monster movies, so I don't know if it's related to that. But, we never know. So we're going to kind of dig in on that side, maybe do a single episode just on everything that it's going to affect, because that is something big. Okay. So what else do we have going on here today? Apparently last night, the Scream 7, the trailers had Scary Movie 6 on with the Wayans brothers coming back, which is really cool because that means it's going to go back to like rude and crude and raunchy and not what it was. So after like Scary Movie 3, once that started going downhill. But that's what the Wayans brothers want, is that they want it to go back to that humor that kind of disgusts a lot of people these days. I was just talking about it with some family members, and sometimes you need that weird humor, just to take you back, kind of do a little bit of throwback. What kind of kids today would even understand the humor of the 80s, like with Young Frankenstein? There was one other one. Menace to Society, the Wayans brothers movie. Okay, they're actually making a second one, mind you, too, apparently, which is really cool. But Spaceballs, that's what I was thinking of. That type of humor. That type of humor is, quote-unquote, frowned upon today. But you never know. So it's just one of those things. Now, that's going to be awesome when it comes through. At the end of the day, I am extremely excited about that. Now, one thing that I did see is that coming up here, you have Highlander. Sorry, I had a brain fart here as I was looking at the paper even. I saw this and this was really cool. WWE superstar Dave Bautista, we all know him. He was in the Army of the Dead series. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy as Drax. He is playing one of the bad guys in this movie this time around for this reboot, which is really cool because you have Dave Bautista essentially going against Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's playing the main character. Gonna be awesome. I guess one of the articles read that Bautista would train 3 hours a day just in sword fighting and sword techniques so he could keep up with Henry Cavill's speed. And that's insane. If that just shows how talented and well-versed Henry Cavill is at the end of the day. So, something to keep an eye out for once that rolls through. Okay. So, lots of movies talk today. You know what? What else do we got going on? We just saw this. We're going to switch it up and change it up here a little bit. Artemis 2. You guys have heard about that with the current lunar missions that's going on. They had to push it back because one of the wet run rehearsals, say that 3 times fast, the wet run rehearsal that they did had another hydrogen leak or fuel leak, whatever the case may be. So they pushed the launch back to now April instead of March 8 to 11 or something that's going to be like mid-April now, okay? But they actually just announced today that they postponed the moon landing now until at least 2028, which means that will go to Artemis 4 systems. The Artemis 3 systems are going to do a low Earth orbit and spin around for a while and make sure everything's good to go with that. Now, good and bad. You know, they want to make sure everybody's staying safe. They want to make sure everything works before they go, 200,000 miles away type scenario over the couple of days. That's what's freaking weird. Okay, let me look this up real quick because you never know here. Where are we going here? Okay. They say it takes 4 days for spaceships to travel from the Earth to the moon. Okay. But the average distance, because you know how it swings back and forth a little bit, the average distance of the moon between the moon and the Earth is 238, almost 239,000 miles. And they're getting there in like 4 days. So that shows you how fast these damn ships are going, too, at the same time. So if you guys didn't know that, you got a little science lesson today for Earth space science when it's all said and done. So be on the lookout for that. I highly doubt we're going to see anything more positive coming out of the Artemis program right now, because I can sit here and make jokes, but at the end of the day, they're just, so many years behind. I mean, NASA's so many years behind in this stuff compared to like what SpaceX has been trying for. Now, I would have to say I really think that SpaceX is going to be the ones that are going to take over this program by the end of it. I think NASA's going to screw up and get pissed and then move on and leave it to Elon Musk and the family over there. So just with how much they've done and how much trial and error they've had, I mean, think of it that way. They had so much failure in the 2010s. Is that a way to do it? Between 2010 and 2020, just to get to where they are today. And it seems like NASA is at that point, and they're just kind of limping along trying to catch up with it. So you never know what's going to go on with that. Lastly, one of the better things that I saw that I woke up to today, apparently it's Pokemon's birthday today. So Pokemon, again, those who grew up in the 90s and 2000s, if you remember all the fad and the late night releases and the card games. I remember going to the battles and seeing how intense and into it kids got, and I'm like, holy jeez. My brain couldn't process down that path. So never really partook in it, so to speak, but watching it was just a lot of stuff. It was almost overwhelming at times. But apparently on February 27th, 1996, that's when they debuted. So these suckers are 30 years old today. So Pikachu, happy birthday. I mean, hasn't aged today, you know what I mean? But the original ones, okay? Because I remember being into the original ones, especially like the Game Boy games. That was kind of my realm to go, was in the Game Boy games. After they started releasing more and more where it went past the originals, that's where it kind of got me. That's where I kind of got confused and kind of lost interest in it. But then again, the early 2000s, I was in middle school. You had Fast and the Furious. So a lot of street racing, a lot of cars. That's kind of what took over my mindset, if you will. If I wasn't at school, I was hanging out with people that, like to soup up their little cars and make them look like they're going fast and really cool and all that stuff. So there's a lot, like I said today, guys. Always stay alert, always stay in the know of what's going on. We're going to have a couple of more videos once we get everything up and running again all the way. We're going to have more releasing in a regular pattern and a regular routine. So from all of us here, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Enjoy the weather while it lasts. I think we're going to hit like 60 degrees here today before we get snow on Monday. So take care, guys. Love y'all. We'll see you later.